And Indiana has done it. Their first ever Commissioner's Cup championship, knocking off the Minnesota Lynx. This is Howard setting up McDonald, knocking down the tray. Finds a cutting McDonald.
You won't believe what the Indiana Fever just pulled off. Missing their biggest star, Caitlin Clark, left behind by veteran Dana Bonner. And facing the WNBA's most dominant team, the Minnesota Lynx, led by MVP frontrunner Narcisa Collier, they were expected to collapse under pressure. Instead, the Fever stunned everyone with a performance fueled by grit, heart, and pure determination. Kelsey Mitchell, Ollie are Boston, and Natasha Howard stepped up and delivered a game that will be remembered for a long time. What unfolded wasn't just an upset, it was a statement. This game changed the way people see this team forever. And Caitlin Clark's powerful six-word reaction after the game captured exactly what this win meant. If you're backing the Fever, drop a comment. I've got the Fever. Let's go. Picture this. The Indiana Fever entered the Target Center for their first ever Commissioner's Cup final with a roster barely holding together. Their superstar sophomore, Caitlin Clark, the engine of the team all season, was sidelined for the third straight game due to a nagging groin injury. This wasn't just any absence. It was a devastating blow. Clark, their leading scorer, their playmaker, and the reason arenas across the country were packed with fans, was stuck on the bench, unable to contribute. The odds were stacked against them.
Caitlin and her status, just how did she look? How did she feel today during shoot-around? And is she making progress and getting closer to playing?
She's making progress. You know, I think, again, top of mind, I think I told you this afternoon, is just long-term. You know, making sure that we don't have any setbacks. Making progress and feeling good are two different things. And we want to make sure that she feels good. We want to make sure that she's confident. We want to make sure that we're not putting her in a position to have any setbacks. And that's the priority, right?
But that wasn't the only challenge the Fever faced. Joanna Bonner was thousands of miles away, competing in the Five Americas, creating yet another major gap in their already thin rotation, with key players missing and the roster stretched to its limits. The Fever were up against more than just their opponents. They were battling adversity on every front.
Listo. Hey Fever, good luck. I miss you.
Then there's the Joanna Bonner situation, which stunned everyone, a seasoned veteran. Bonner was brought in during the off-season to provide leadership and stability to a young Fever squad, but instead of stepping up, she walked away quitting the team after just 9 games and ultimately getting waived. It was a shocking move, one that felt like a betrayal, especially at a time when her teammates needed her the most.
Joanna Bonner was brought in for leadership. She was brought in for leadership. And do you want to know all that these young players learned from her? If things don't go your way, refuse to show up. Continue to get paid a max contract while you are sitting out, refusing to play.
She got benched. She couldn't handle it. I want out. She's not playing well. She's getting criticized. I want out.
Now let's talk about who the Fever were up against. The Minnesota Lynx weren't just a strong team, they were outright dominant. Coming into the game with a 14-1 record, they were the best team in the WNBA and the reigning Commissioner's Cup champions, playing in front of a sold-out home crowd, with MVP frontrunner Narcisa Collier leading the way. The atmosphere was electric and expectations sky high. Las Vegas had the Lynx favored by 14 points and enormous margin in a championship setting. The basketball world had already counted Fever out before tip-off. Analysts predicted a blowout, insisting Indiana didn't even belong on the same court as Minnesota, especially without their top players.
pretty flawless, in the way that they're playing. And I don't know if different is the word as much as they look even more connected. They're a team that was connected a year ago, but really the nuance of having each other's back on the defensive end, of knowing where your teammate's going to be, discipline to coverages, the connectivity that they have on the offensive end of the floor. I mean, the way that they move with and without the ball, the way that the ball moves makes it really tough to cover. I often say that offense is like a dance, and they are flowing, man. They are making music, and there's no doubt about it. So we have to try to be disruptive, and we have to try to take them out of that risk.
Here's where things got especially tough for the Fever. This was supposed to be their moment, their first Commissioner's Cup final appearance in franchise history. But everything that could go wrong did, with key players missing and the spotlight burning bright. The remaining roster knew the pressure was immense. Critics were watching closely, fully expecting them to collapse. The Fever walked into the game like David facing Goliath. Only this time, David had a broken slingshot, and half his army had already abandoned the fight. Here's where things got really ugly. Without Caitlin Clark, the Fever looked like an entirely different team. Leading up to the Commissioner's Cup final, they had dropped 3 of their last 5 games, often blowing double-digit leads that should have been easy wins. Their once dangerous offensive rhythm slowed to a crawl, and the fluid ball movement that defined their play all season vanished. Instead of working as a unit, players resorted to hero ball forcing contested shots and trying to take over games on their own. The trust and chemistry that had energized fans were missing, and it was painfully obvious. This wasn't the Fever team people had been rallying behind all year.
This is your first season with this batch of players, and so I'm just wondering if the Commissioner's Cup is just a stepping stone for greater things to come.
Well, I hope so. But at the same time, we want to take care of business now, right? That we want to win a cup. So we're not looking at it necessarily as a stepping stone. We're looking at it as an opportunity to win. And then we're looking at it, as coaches, as an opportunity to continue to stack days. We haven't had a lot of consistency in our lineup, and so we haven't really built that camaraderie and connectedness that we need in order for us to be successful. But we can take another step towards growth, another step towards consistency on the floor, in execution, in energy level. We're playing the best team in the league right now, and we've got to come out and we got to play our A game.
Let's talk about Aliyah Boston, one of the Fever's most powerful weapons. She wasn't getting the touches she needed to dominate in the paint. Boston is at her best when she receives the ball in her spots, but her teammates simply weren't finding her. Time and again, she'd establish strong position down low, call for the ball, and instead watch as guards launched contested shots from the perimeter. The frustration on her face said it all. Without Caitlin Clark on the floor, the team's identity unraveled. Clark wasn't just a scorer or assist leader, she was the engine of the offense, the one who organized plays, involved everyone, and kept the ball moving. In her absence, the Fever looked disjointed on both ends of the floor. Opponents noticed, too, shifting their game plans to smother Kelsey Mitchell and Aliyah Boston, knowing they didn't have to worry about Clark picking apart their defenses.
What are some of the keys that you see as to how exactly you're going to do that, or what you guys need to do to approach the game successfully?
Yeah, I think we've got to be disruptive. We've got to make sure that we play with a level of physicality that doesn't allow them to just pass the ball around where everywhere that they want to pass it. So we've got to make sure that we're disruptive. We got to make sure that we're elite at our on-ball screen defense. This is a team that reads really well, that moves really well. We got to be elite at the point of attack on on-ball screen defense. We've got to. We always talk about guarding our yard, being able to guard one-on-one so we're not in rotation early. I think for us, it's going to have to start on the defensive end of the floor, so that allows us to get out and run in transition as well. But we can't allow them to just do exactly what they want to do on the offensive end.
Anyone else? Coach, thank you.
Thank you.
The Commissioner's Cup final became a defining moment for the entire Fever roster, a true test of resilience. Could they find a way to play winning basketball without their best player? Could they reignite the ball movement and chemistry that had made them so dangerous earlier in the season? The uncertainty hung over every possession, but it was precisely this struggle, this uphill battle, that made what happened next all the more incredible. What happened next was nothing short of goosebump-inducing. The Indiana Fever chose to take control of their own narrative. From the opening tip, there was a fire in their eyes of focus and determination that hadn't been there in previous games. This wasn't the same team that had been stumbling without Caitlin Clark. They came out with purpose, energy, and a refusal to back down, playing like a unit on a mission. It was clear from the start they were determined to win this. One for their injured star. Kelsey Mitchell rose to the occasion and took command when it mattered most. Right from the first quarter, she attacked the basket with confidence, immediately showcasing her offensive prowess against the Lynx. Mitchell was relentless in creating space, moving off the ball to get open looks from beyond the arc where she shot a remarkable 41%. Her quick release and precision shooting became a weapon Minnesota simply couldn't contain. What made it even more impressive was how effortless. It looked nothing was forced. She was simply playing her game at an elite level. But this is where things got truly exciting. Aliyah Boston finally started getting the ball, where she thrives, and she delivered in a big way. She racked up a dominant double-double with 12 points, 11 rebounds, and 6 assists, going head-to-head with all-star Nafisa Collier and holding her. Brown, with each possession, her confidence grew, and it showed in her play. After the game, Boston displayed her leadership, saying, "Everyone is important. I think everyone really played their role. We really handled that fourth quarter." Meanwhile, Natasha Howard turned in a stunning MVP caliber performance that completely shifted the momentum. She finished with 16 points, 12 rebounds for assists, and to steals numbers that earned her the Commissioner's Cup MVP and left everyone